to Flux Motorsport TV. I am your host, Carlin Hicks, and we are here for round 7 of the Flux Season 5 Sports Car Championships tonight at Laguna Seca. We start off with the GTE class, to be followed, of course, by the high-powered prototypes of the LMP2. As I said, your host, Carlin Hicks here, and glad to be back with you after we were off the air last week at Road America, but we are here at Laguna Seca, the famous circuit in Central California. Excuse me. And tonight's race ought to be a good one. Round 7 of 8 in the Flux Season 5 Sports Car Championships in the GTE class, and we are looking forward to a fantastic event here at Laguna Seca. We're going to give you a rundown, of course, qualifying underway as usual. 20-minute qualifying session followed by a 45-minute feature. And we are also going to give you a little rundown here on the point standings. Car you are looking at on track right now, that is the current points leader in the Flux Sports Car Championships GTE class, NZ Jack from New Zealand. He is looking to capture his second straight championship in the class after winning last season in Season 4, and he has had a fantastic season to do it. He's taken 4 wins in 6 races, including the last 2 at Watkins Glen and Road America, and comes in with a healthy but not insurmountable 23-point advantage in the division now, running his second season, or going for that second championship. Jack has been fantastic in these cars. He has 6 wins, including this season, over the last 2 seasons in the GT, in that Corvette, privateer Corvette, the Egg Melt number 5 car. And he has really made an impact here in his Flux Motorsport career, turning into one of the top sports car drivers. And as I said, 4 wins this season at Willow Springs, Long Beach, and then the last 2 rounds at Watkins Glen and Road America last week has given him a healthy but not insurmountable advantage, as we said, and looking to see him try to expand that coming out this season here early in qualifying at Laguna Seca. Before we give you the rundown, though, I'd love to give you a track walk. Let's pick out a car here that is somewhere near the beginning, and I will allow them to. Let's see if Pogo gives us one. Pogo's watching. Stay on the track, Pogo. You come off the last corner here, back hard on the throttle at Laguna Seca, down the front straightaway, which is a kink here, and it's uphill until you come down to turn 1 and the Andretti hairpin. 2.2 miles, so a very tight circuit here at Laguna Seca. It's hard on the brakes, hard to the left. You got to manage the throttle very carefully here, coming through the turn 1 and turn 2 hairpin. Then it's turn 3, off camber, pushes you towards the sand. You got to fight it to keep it just on that rumble strip. Then turn 4, also one that you need to burp the throttle a little bit. Can't go too far wide there, as that part of the track will get very dirty as cars run up. Then it's into turn 6, turn 5 maybe, I should say. Now it's onto the back straightaway that leads you down to the corkscrew. It's an uphill climb under the Mazda banner, and then it's hard on the brakes and then off the brakes because you want to glide down the corkscrew, and that is about as good as you can take it right there. Pogo Mojo just showed you. And you cannot accelerate or be braking through that corkscrew or you will lose that car. He does an excellent job of gliding it through there, is really the only word to put it. Then it's all the way back down through that last section, and here back onto the front straightaway, 2.2 miles at Laguna Seca. But a lot of, as I said, you're going to have to watch it throughout the course of this race. We've got fairly mild weather here, 80-degree ambient temperature, 106-degree track temperature. That's, you know, fairly good conditions, not too hot, a little bit on the warm side, but not too hot. But with medium cloud cover expected throughout the event, at least the GTE portion of the event, it should be pretty decent conditions for these guys. You might want to manage your tires or give some extra thought to the compounds a little bit, as the little lady in the broadcast booth is making her thoughts felt known. I do think that's enough track temperature to where you just might want to give some thought to your compounds. You know, these guys will try to go 45 minutes without a stop, and so you're going to need to manage that tire wear quite a bit. Back to our rundown as we're midway through the qualifying session. Second in the points is, of course, Taijo in that Ford GT, the driver from the Philippines, Season 4 IndyCar champion, and he has had a very good season here. He has not picked up a win yet, but he has been very consistent. 4 podiums overall, but still looking for that first win. And this is a track I think maybe the Ford GT can do something at. Laguna Seca is really a downforce and handling track, and there's a very real opportunity here for Taijo to come up with something. Third in the points table is, of course, the veteran Bruce Law, winningest driver in Flux sports car history, has 4 class championships across the various series. And he has a manufacturer change mid-season out of the Aston Martin, now running the Porsche 911. Told me before the race, confirmed my theory that the Aston Martin money dried up, Porsche money came in, and Bruce is definitely here to race. He's got 1 win so far this season. That was in the season opener at Daytona. Comes in, however, a bit of a gap on the championship, looking 49 points up to first place, and that is not insurmountable, but Taijo and NZ Jack, who are the real top 2 contenders at this point, would both have to have some trouble, some DNFs to make that work. Let's see if we got our sound issues here in the Flux TV booth worked out. Bruce Law, anyway, as I said, now in the Porsche. He and Cat Guy in 4th are about 50 points back, and with 35 of the race winner, they would definitely need some misfortune to fall beyond them to get back into the championship. But nonetheless, championship positions very much on the line as we speak of. Cat Guy currently just 8th on the qualifying board in the factory Corvette. Cat Guy yet to pick up a win this season. He does have 1 win in the class 2 seasons ago, but has been kind of disappointed with his season. Just 1 podium so far. Nonetheless, consistent finishing has placed him 4th in the points, 50 points off the lead, and he does not have a ton of optimism from what he told me about running here at Laguna Seca, but he has pulled out some surprising performances in that Corvette in the past, so we'll see what he can come up with. 5th place in the points, meanwhile, another American veteran, that's Pogo Mojo in the 39 Corvette. Pogo still looking for that first Flux sports car win. He has 3 podiums, however, on the season, so he has definitely been a top-notch contender. But keeping it out of the wall and out of the sand is the key thing here at Laguna Seca, and Pogo needs a little bit of racing luck to help make that work. 6th place in the points, the Australian veteran in the factory Ford GT, that is Muttley. He's really been beyond Taijo, really the second performing Ford driver on the season, and as I said, comes in 6th in the points. He does not have a podium, but does have a consistent finishing record and a little bit of luck. We've seen Muttley run well here at Laguna Seca in the past, both in sports cars of the prototype and GT variety and in Indy cars, so there's definitely the potential for him to come up with something there. 7th in the points, another Australian veteran, that is Mark C. in the Ferrari. He has had some hard luck at various points in this season, and we're just hoping that he can pull it together. Mark comes in looking for his first podium as well. 8th place in the points, the veteran Mick Toasty in his Caporal Corvette, the number 27 car. He's got two podiums on the season and has been knocking on the door, a pair of 2nd place finishes. So this is a guy who could definitely come up with something here today. 9th place in the points, just piddling. As you see him sliding his McCool Corvette, this is a guy who has a win this season. Piddling took the victory, I believe, at Indianapolis. Yes, he did. And also with the fact that he's won in the LMP2s, he's gotten himself multiple sports car victories this season. But that victory at Indianapolis is the lone podium of the season for just Piddling. Comes in 9th in the points. He's had some bad luck. He's been in some pretty heavy accidents at times, not usually of his doing, really. And he's definitely a guy who's going to be looking to contend, and I think really will. And rounding out the top 10 in the points is Survivor, the consistent finisher in that 15 Ford GT. Does not have a podium, although he does. He has 1 podium on the season and finds himself 10th in the points. These are the guys rounding out the top of the charts. Don't count myself down there. 11. We have 11 drivers on the track here. I'll remind you that at 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 2 a.m. UK, that will be immediately after this race, about 40 minutes after the conclusion of this race, will be the opening of the LMP2 class here of the Flux Sports Car Championship this weekend at Laguna Seca. Had a great race here last night in the Indy cars. Super Crusher extending his points lead with the victory. And that championship's going to come down to next week's trip at Texas Motor Speedway for these series. Right now, top of the speed charts as we're inside of 5 minutes left in qualifying is Bruce Law in the Porsche, a 1:18.6, and I believe he was, I could be wrong, I should check my notes, I believe he was the winner here, if not last season, then back in season 3 when the GTEs raced here at Laguna Seca. I'm pretty sure he won in the Indy cars here, for sure. Yes, he did. He won season 3 in the Indy car. So he is an experienced driver, and as we said, with what I believe is currently at 29 career victories and 4 class championships in the Flux Sports cars. No shortage of trophy case, or no shortage of trophies in the trophy case for Bruce Law, and we'll see if he can get that Porsche up and going. Deadly Hawk was the longtime factory Porsche driver in the series. Haven't seen him since the early part of the season, but that 91 car now cutting a deal with Bruce Law, and they may just get the first Porsche victory in Flux GTE competition. Bruce, as I said, got a win in the season opener at Daytona. Comes in 3rd in the points. And right now he has a good 6/10 on the field. This is a track that's good for the Porsches. Laguna Seca, as I said, 2.2 miles, very tight and twisty. This might just be the track that the Porsches and the Fords can really shine at, and when you got a driver like Bruce Law at the wheel, the car can definitely shine. Ty Joe currently sitting in 2nd. He and Jack just battling out with each other. Every single point valuable. Jack's got a 23-point advantage, so Ty Joe really needs to make up some ground here today. And as we said, Ty Joe yet to get, as he comes into the pits, going to make his way out. Ty Joe yet to get the win, a win this season. 3 career victories in the Flux Sports cars. I believe all of them are here in the GTE class, but he has not won yet this season despite 4 podium finishes, and he really needs to push that up, push himself up higher on the podium. He needs to make up as much ground as possible. I would say, you know, never over till it's over, even if he leaves here 23 points down, which he is today, going into the last race at the Texas Motor Speedway, though, of course, next week. But the simple fact of the matter is that realistically, if you're not counting on a DNF, obviously you score no points if you don't finish the race. If you're not counting on the guy having mechanical problems or wrecking the car so bad that he can't at least finish, assuming both drivers will finish both races, and I would say realistically, you've got to try to chop that 23-point deficit in half going into the final race. And that means 3-4 positions. So Taijo really needs to maximize what he can get here if he's going to have a shot at moving forward. And the question from former competitor, longtime viewer Daz, was his Pogo still racing out of the RV? Yes, he is. He has battery backup and some kind of deal with aluminum foil manufacturers to keep his entire RV coated in aluminum foil to channel the signal. I'm kidding about that last part, but yes, he is still in the RV. Pogo back there currently sitting 7th, and you can see a much larger gap in times than we normally see here in the Flux Sports Car Championships, just because really the technicality of this track, and also this is a track that's going to change a lot over the course of the race. I think you're going to see cars come and go, quite a bit of the rubber banding effect. But in qualifying, it's been Bruce Law, Taijo, and NZ Jack who have really been a class above the field. Good to see O'Brien in the race in the Caporal car, teammates to McToasty. O'Brien, of course, a longtime series regular. We've seen him, I believe, just in the first round at Daytona this season. I only have him listed as one race, but O'Brien, of course, a longtime veteran and another American driver we look to see do quite well, as these guys really need to make up as much ground as possible. Looks like Mr. Metallica, one of our new guys, joined in, but I believe he's a little late for the start. As we head down towards the end here of qualifying, a couple of guys wrapping up, but it looks like Bruce Law, Taijo's still on his lap. No, he's just rolling around. It looks like Bruce Law is going to secure the pole position. That would be true. That's his first. That would be his first pole position of the season. So first pole of the season for Bruce Law. And let me give you our starting lineups here at the Flux Season 5 Sports Car Championship GTE class, round 7 at Laguna Seca. Starting on the pole in the Porsche will be Bruce Law. First pole of the season, but certainly not his first start from the top of the field. Starting second will be second in the points, Taijo in his Ford GT. NZ Jack, the points leader, will start his Corvette in third. Just Piddlin has his Corvette coming from 4th place. O'Brien, excellent qualifying run on his return. He will start 5th. Mark C's got that Ferrari all the way up to 6th place. McToasty has his Corvette, in 7th. Pogo Mojo will start 8th. Cat Guy with the factory vet is in 9th. Muttley has the factory Ford GT in 10th, and Survivors Ford GT will be starting shotgun on the field in 11th. All right, these guys got 2 minutes to set it up. I will remind you, we will have a formation lap and a single file start we've been using this season here in the Sports Car Championships. Get myself out of the field, so they will be running single file at the start, and we'll go at the lights on the way by. Bruce Law will lead us down to the Andretti hairpin and turn 1. As usual, we will follow this race up with the LMP2 class. in the Flux Sports Car Championships. Many of these same drivers run both races, so fans will be able to see them here, right back here on the track at Laguna Seca. One of the great racetracks in North America and indeed the world. The corkscrew itself is one of the most unique turns and sections in motorsports. It's a very challenging track. The big challenges I think you're going to see is the amount of rubber and sand buildup in the high-speed turns that you can on the live track here on Project Cars 2, you can absolutely feel that as the race builds up. It makes you have to change your line even sometimes, and this is the track along with Willow Springs that you're really going to feel it. In my opinion, the key here really is to have a good setup that allows the car to wear in balance. These guys are going to try to go 45 minutes without stopping. That means that they have full fuel tanks and their tires are expected to go the whole way. 106-degree track temperature, I do not imagine we're going to see a whole lot of soft tire compounds out here unless somebody makes an emergency pit stop and then is trying to make up time. But you never know really, because some guys can surprise you. I myself used to often use mixed compounds. So we'll just have to see how it plays out. This is a very tight circuit, very tough to pass. So I think that the guys who show the most patience are going to be the ones who can do well. The thing is, when you have a quick driver like Bruce Law out front in that Porsche, if he gets a clean start, you can really build a gap on the field from the lead. I've seen second through like 7th or 8th place piled up together while first place was running half a second quicker for the first 10-15 minutes of a race. That is definitely a factor here as Bruce goes to pick up that win. I checked my numbers, 28 career victories in the Flux Sports Car Championships. That is the highest ever, and he's looking for 29 here today. One back at Daytona, looking for his second win of the season, and NZ Jack, meanwhile, has 4 wins on the season. It's been a fantastic race, or a fantastic season for him. A little late for the entries. We're already rolling out here for the start. But the LMP2s will be next. So if you're in that class, stick with it. All right, we're heading down for the start. I'm going to get ready to get onto our chase cam here. As you see the guys still coming out of the turn as they take off, and it looks like Taijo got a tremendous start. Jumps out in front of Bruce Law. NZ Jack's right behind him, just piddling in line as they pile into turn 1. The Andretti hairpin for the first time, and just like that, Taijo loses that start. I don't know if he jumped the start. I don't see any penalties, but he fell back to second. And Bruce Law reaffirmed his spot at the start. Let's get on to our chase cam and see what we got here. Taijo right behind him, NZ Jack just piddling in 4th, O'Brien in 5th, Mark in 6th, Pogo in 7th, McToasty back in 8th, Cat Guy fell back a couple of spots, he's in 9th. But back up front, as you can see, these guys battling it out as they head up to the corkscrew for the first time. And Bruce goes diving down. Taijo and NZ Jack, the 2 main competitors for the championship. NZ Jack, as I said, many of you were introduced to him now season 5, but back in season 3 in the IndyCar opener at Long Beach, he got in a memorable duel with Cat Guy for the win. Cat Guy, of course, went on to the win and the championship that season, but Jack has really found his legs here in the sports cars in the GTE class. As I said, champion a season ago, looking to repeat as champion here in season 5, and if he leaves here today with a lead of 38 points or more, he would clinch the championship. That would take a very low finish for Taijo for that to happen. More than likely they will go to Texas next week in my neck of the woods and have to race out for it there. All right, position battles working out here. Pogo has got McToasty all over him in the battle for 6th. McToasty, this is a driver you know, 2 podiums on the season, regardless of where he qualified. He can move through the field in that Caporal Corvette. He's a guy who can definitely move up, but he's going to have a battle here with Pogo coming up. Pogo sitting there in 6th, has moved up a position. As Mark C. fell back from 6th place, he's back to 9th in that Ferrari. These two heading down into the corkscrew, and these two vets, and we have an accident. It looks like Taijo and McToasty. You know, McToasty comes through, definitely Taijo. Looks like he got it going. McToasty fell back as well. Anybody else? I don't see. NZ Jack came through okay, but Taijo fell all the way back to 9th. Not sure if there was contact or not. We came up upon it with 2 cars around in the corkscrew. Not sure if he tried to make a pass there, but that's going to be... Hopefully there's no damage. Looked like the cars coming in were able to avoid it. If there was any contact, it may have just been incidental, but Taijo falls all the way back to 9th. And he's going to have to make a recovery drive now. NZ Jack came clear. I don't see if there's anything on his car. He comes out the better for it. I do not see any marks on his car, so I'm not sure if it was him he made contact with. Just Piddlin looks like he has a... Looked to me like maybe the hood on the left front is popped up a little bit. I don't know. Tough to tell where that contact was from, but Taijo's going to have to try to make up ground here. Just Piddlin has Pogo and McToasty right on his tail, with O'Brien shooting up from that 5th starting spot up to 3rd. So here in the first couple of laps, action already. Let's go back on board. With McToasty running in 6th place, Pogo directly in front of him trying to challenge Just Piddlin, who's picked up a, looks like a track limit penalty. We'll check on those here a little later. Really not coming into play as of this point. Heading down into turn 1, you can see Pogo trying to take his look. And then, of course, 7th, 8th, and 9th with Cat Guy, Mark, and Taijo. They're all alongside each other battling for position. Taijo, of course, desperate to get back up through the field. We'll be keeping an eye on him because he's going to be looking. This is not the track that you want to have that happen at. This is not a Daytona or a Road America where you might be able to move your way through the field. And it looks like Just Piddlin's falling back big time. Looks like that's in turn 5. As he went around, I don't know if he hit anything. It looks like maybe he banged up that front end, and that's unfortunate for Just Piddlin, running very well in 4th place. Good qualifying run for him, and don't know if he's going to be able to stay out, but let's see if he tries it. He's got that thing up and going. Trying to maintain his position. Pogo and McToasty, meanwhile, getting out by that. Looks like McToasty might be looking to make the move on Pogo down the front stretch here as they run on lap 5. About 6 minutes in, that tells me we're going to do maybe 40. Somewhere in that neighborhood, 35 to 40 laps. With a 2.2 mile course, that puts us somewhere in the range of 90-95 miles of racing, which is a lot of mileage on these tires. So these guys got to keep something on it here at this point. Try to maintain. As you saw, things can swing really, really fast. It looks like Taijo made his way by Mark and Just Piddlin, moving back up into 7th, so he is moving in now. I got by Mark and trying to move in on Cat Guy for 6th place. And it looks like we may have more problems for Just Piddlin. That time it was in turn 4. And it looks like he's got it going. I don't know if he's got some damage that's affecting the handling there, and it looks like he does. He must, because he's going off course there at fairly low speed. There's got to be There's got to be something going on with that car. We'll see if he hits the pit lane and tries to get that repaired. Looks like Pogo still battling there with McToasty. Pogo picking up a timing penalty, 2 seconds, not insignificant. And McToasty continues to be all over him. You can see O'Brien running there in third, just ahead of these guys. These are all Corvettes. As they're battling, you can see Taijo looking to make his move. So many battles, I'm going to stay up front here. Just Piddlin is in the pits to get repairs. Tough luck for him. He had a good qualifying run, and you would have hoped would have had something for this race. I definitely put him on my list of contenders, especially after the win at Indianapolis, which is a track that, you know, may have a car that works well for something like this. That's where, when your car is not handling, I've said this in just about every race you guys watch me broadcast, that's the thing. You get a minor bit of damage. Doesn't seem like much. Maybe the car's got a little bit of a push. Maybe it's, you know, pulling a little bit, something. But not enough to make you think you have to pit. The thing is as that fuel burns off, as those tires wear, any problem with the chassis, with the cars handling it all, becomes more and more pronounced. And it looks like Taijo's looking to make the move on Cat Guy for 6th, and appears to have it done here going into turn 1 in the Andretti hairpin. At the same time I say that, McToasty shoots by Pogo to take over 4th place. So lots of movement there. We'll see how that plays out. But as I said, as the race goes on, any type damage you have, and even if you don't have damage, just the tire wear. The tire wear changes the balance of the car, and if you don't have a car that wears in a balanced way, it may be fast early in the race, it may be fast in qualifying, but if it doesn't have good balance towards the end, especially at a track like this, at Laguna Seca, with all these off-camber turns and the corkscrew, any handling problems you have become more pronounced. So I reserve my judgment till we get till about 15-20 minutes left, and we see how guys are starting to handle, as we're only working lap 7 of what we anticipate. At a minute 20, that would be that's 3 laps every 4 minutes. Is that 3 laps every 4 minutes? 1, 20, 240, 4 minutes. That's 3 laps every 4 minutes. So we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of 35 laps, I'd say. And you definitely need to take care of these tires. Well, Bruce has the lead from the start, briefly lost to Taijo. He's back up in front. He's got 3 seconds here on NZ Jack, the points leader, who looking to get his 3rd straight win, but knows at the championship, if he doesn't lose ground here today, he's in excellent position moving forward. As it looks like Taijo, Cat Guy Pogo fell back again, and looks like he's got some damage. That left hood poking up a little bit. And so now he's fallen back to 7th, so I don't know if he had contact with the wall or with another driver, but whatever it is, he's trying to drive along with something, as Cat Guy's also fallen back. See, when the camera picks him up, getting some weird camera angles, yeah, he's got some damage too. So these guys have definitely, if not contact with each other, they've made some contact somewhere. And that was able to move Taijo back up into 5th as he continues his recovery drive to try to get back in this race. But healthy gap. Bruce 4 seconds over Jack. O'Brien and McToasty are now battling for 3rd. McToasty moving in by about a second a lap that last time, and by about a second a lap that time. So he definitely has the faster car at this point. O'Brien, though, a veteran, I know, who knows how to set up long run cars. And looks like McToasty and he are going to have a battle for 3rd place here relatively soon. Pogo is in the pits with that Corvette, and tough to see. Pogo's had some terrible luck all season. Had some real good runs when he's kept the car together, but he's going to have to try to drag himself out of the 2nd car to make damage repairs that I have seen. Maybe Mark C, who's now running back in 11, looks like maybe he made a stop. Maybe not. That car's pretty banged up. We call him We call him Hard Luck Mark because that seems to happen to him a little more often. That Ferrari program has not had the season that they were hoping for. Have not been on the podium with that Ferrari yet this season. One more shot next week. Meanwhile, back up here, 32:45 to go on the clock. These two vets, corporate teammates for the week, both running the Caporal cars, so they share a sponsor, but I can assure you they want to beat each other. O'Brien holding on to third, and Toasty back in fourth. These guys both experienced sports car drivers. O'Brien 2 wins in the Flux Sports Car Championships, both in this class, as it looks like he's having some handling problems, and that may put McToasty past him, and indeed does. McToasty, not a win yet this season, is a 2-time winner in the class, 2 career wins. So as I said, both of these guys, a pair of wins in the GTE class in the past, but not yet this season, as that puts McToasty up into third. Ty Joe's moving in on him. Meanwhile, he ran a 1:21.5. That was faster than anybody but Bruce Law. And so maybe he can try to start chopping his way back into this as a gap is separating. We do have a battle for position back in 7th as Muttley and Survivor, a pair of 4 GTs. Like to see how this one plays out, as they are coming up there through the turn 3 section. It looks like Survivor a little quicker through there. But Muttley, of course, no slouch in these cars, and it looks like he's got some kind of handling problem, or he's letting them by, because it looks like Survivor's going to move into 7th, or is he? Yes, he does. Getting some weird camera angles here from our broadcasters. Looks like McToasty coming up on a lapped car. That is that Pogo? I need to go to the chase cam to figure this out. Yeah, that is Pogo, who came out of the pits just off the lead lap in 9th place, trying to get those tires up to temperature. See what O'Brien's dealing with here, if he can take advantage of that. Muttley and Survivor still doing battle. But right there, McToasty's going to want to get by. Looks like Pogo let him by there. Good move by Pogo, although I suspect that he's going to be fast once he gets up and going. Maybe he just doesn't want the hassle of lapped cars around, or of lapping cars around him. But I suspect Pogo will get that thing right up to speed with the leaders here. As we hit the 30-minute mark, 15 minutes down, 1/3 of the way through working lap 12. That tells me 36 might be on the board. So these guys got quite a way to go here at Laguna Seca Raceway in Monterey, California. Bruce Law continuing to extend that lead, about 6.5 seconds over NZ Jack right now. And as I said, the Porsche guys got to be excited. That is the first pole in the Flux GTE Championship for the Porsche, and it could be its first win. And I don't believe they ever won in the GT3s either, so it may be the first Flux Sports Car Championship win overall for the Porsche. But meanwhile, Bruce just taking that thing smoothly. 1:21.3 the last time by. He's, in my opinion, built up enough of a gap to where he's a veteran who might manage the tires there a little bit. We'll see how this plays out, as these guys are, at least the front 3 are not far off of them in terms of lap times. McToasty's down in the high 21s now that he has a little bit of a gap on O'Brien, but O'Brien's going to be having pressure from Taijo, who after starting 2nd and then falling all the way back to 9th after problems on the, in the corkscrew early in the race, has driven himself all the way back up to 5th, just 16 seconds off the lead, and he's hoping that he can make up ground on NZ Jack. He's already made it through 3 cars, but he's got quite a few more to go if he's going to get back up to the leader. like Muttley fell back from the battle on with Survivor. Survivor now up to 7th in the 15 Ford GT. Last lap 124. Let's see what his fastest is. 123.7, so not on the pace of the leaders, but that's a pace that if you keep that car clean, may have a shot at the top 5. You got to suspect somebody else is going to have trouble before the end of this thing, so I think he's just trying to get that thing around. He disposed of Muttley in that battle, and now you just got to run smooth and wait, and there may be a position or two for you coming up. Pogo, you see him right there, as he's now got is that McToasty? I believe that's, no, that's NZ Jack going by Pogo. So Pogo's still just off the lead lap. Got that car repaired, running quick lap times. Same deal there for him. There may be a few positions here. I'd say he could probably, just by the flow of things, drive his way up to 7th if he keeps that thing together, and maybe have even a little more if he gets a little luck. So we'll see. We'll keep our eye on it. Let's go inside the cockpit of the Ford GT. We've done the Corvette, and here is Ty Joe running in 5th, started 2nd, fell back to 9th, now back up to 5th. He came into this race 23 points behind NZ Jack with 2 races to go, so he definitely needs to make up some ground, or at least just keep it close enough to have a shot going to Texas next week, just to keep the championship alive. Alright, trying to sort out the sound difficulties. Let's give it another shot. We're inside of 19 minutes to go here at Laguna Seca. Bruce Law continuing to lead and has just extended it now to over 11 seconds. So it's got that Porsche in excellent condition. NZ Jack 11.5 seconds back. He is the points leader, feeling pretty good. He's got 6 seconds on McToasty in third place. O'Brien's had a very solid run. He's back in fourth, also in a Corvette, and Taijo in the Ford GT running in fifth. As Taijo still looking to make up ground. As it sits, Taijo would only lose about 7 points, I think. It looks like Muttley had a little problem there in the corkscrew. Taijo would only lose 7 points, but that would put him 30 behind, and it would be very difficult, excuse me, to overcome that. He would basically need Jack to have a engine problem or something, and then pick up maximum points in the final race to win the championship. So he has got to get by as many of these cars as he can, and he's got 17.5 minutes to do it. He's shown some quick laps. As we take a look at his timing, his fastest lap, 1:21.0, is quick. Not as quick as the front three cars, but he just needs a little bit of a break here to get through, and maybe with a little less traffic he might be able to make it. Pogo's got that thing all the way back up to 7th after his damage. Him and Just Piddlin running 7th and 9th. Got to give them some credit for making up some ground, as Mark in his Porsche and Survivor in his Ford GT a little worse for wear. For some reason Fox Sports wanted to contact me. Good God almighty. Anyway, Taijo and O'Brien. He's trying to get by. O'Brien, a wily veteran, goes back a long time, even prior to the Flux days, veteran of these tracks and these cars. Hasn't run since early in the season, making a comeback, but he comes in here qualified 5th. He's running in 4th. He's been as high as 3rd. And it looks like Taijo might have the faster car, but O'Brien is a tough driver to pass, especially at a place like this. He's going to hold his line and make Taijo earn it, because he still thinks that if anything happens, he has a shot at a podium and definitely wants to make a play for that. They're fighting in a line there. Taijo's trying to get it done, but as I said, it's tough to do at this track, and especially, you know, O'Brien's one of those drivers that you don't just need to be quicker than him to pass him. You need to be quite a bit quicker, because this is a tough guy to pass. They get by Pogo, who I believe is lapped car letting them by. But this race turning into a battle here in the middle of the field. Pogo and Muttley look like they're still somewhat racing for position. Take a quick look at what the timing stewards have in terms of penalties. O'Brien 2 seconds, Taijo 1, Cat Guy 1, Pogo 4. Those are definitely going to come into play, because as they run, Pogo's time penalty would put Muttley past him. But that's been the battle here on the track. Let's go on to the chase cam and see what Taijo sees as he's looking right there. That is what you don't want to do in the corkscrew, and right there he puts it into the wall. Front end of the car hits the wall, gets the car reset and ready to go, but definitely took a header to the nose. That's what you don't want to do. The corkscrew is not the place to push, because especially at this point in the race, less than 14 minutes to go, 24 laps on the board, you have definitely seen a lot of sand, a lot of marbles, you know, rubber marbles, whatnot, pulled up onto the track, and it's made the grip very, very precarious through the corkscrew, even more so than normal. And that's probably a little bit of what happened there to Taijo, but he's going to have to try to rebound. Still plenty of time to go. We estimated, what was it, 36 laps, so just 2/3 of the way through, maybe 34, 35 laps. You've got time, but you've got to get back on it as quickly as you can. Looks like Muttley's in the pit lane making some repairs. Another tough drive for him. Back up front, it continues to be Bruce Law in a spotless Porsche 911. As we said, Porsche's never won in the GTE Championship. He was running an Aston Martin when he picked up his win at Daytona to open the season. I don't think this is going to be enough to get him. If Jack finishes where he does, it won't be enough to keep him alive in terms of the championship, but be a huge win for Porsche. As a Porsche 911 fan, I'm going to say this, I've said this many times in the past, I believe that the sim racing, the software that at least I've been on in the past, has never done the Porsche 911 justice. I think that it should be quicker than it is. It should definitely be the equal to or better than, you know, some of the other cars, because the Porsche 911 is, you know, just basically the same design for half a century as been winning sports car races. But to see it up front looks really good. Deadly Hawk gave it some good runs and has gotten it, developed it pretty well. But Bruce Law, with his resume, he's taken that thing straight to the front here at Laguna Seca. And as I said, we saw him back in Season 3 do it in the Indy cars here, and he has just done it spectacularly here so far. NZ Jack doing everything that he has hoped to do here. Qualified third, he's running in second, came in with the points lead. As he runs now, he would stretch that points lead, and as I said, looking to win his second straight, because we got some debris there coming out of turn 3. Jack looking to win his second straight GTE championship in the Flux Sports Car Championships, and that would make him a 2-time class winner. And he's taken a big step so far here today towards doing that. Just a smooth drive. Once he fell back from Bruce and realized he couldn't quite, he's been running laps that are pretty much at pace with Bruce for most of the race. But I think he realizes a podium here will accomplish his goal. He's won 4 races this season, including the last 2. And just looking to put together that final trophy, which is, of course, the championship. Toasty back in third, 2 podiums on the season, looking to make it 3. Did not run the first couple races. He is contending for the championship in the LMP2s, which will be running after this one here at Laguna Seca. But just another solid drive from a consistent driver. A very cerebral driver, knows how to set up the car to make it do what he wants it to do, at least in terms of longevity. And he drives that thing very smoothly, keeps the tires on it. You don't see that thing skidding around. And he's, you know, last lap was a little slow. Probably had a little trouble, but just getting it back underneath him. And the car looks pretty spotless. He's had considering he's had to battle through traffic, started back in, what was it, 7th, I think. 6th or 7th is where he started. He has 7th, I believe. He has moved up quite well just by staying smooth, and so far it has worked for him and may get him on the podium here. Same deal for O'Brien. Good qualifying run to 5th, now running in 4th. Ty Joe's back there in 5th, trying to keep that front end all. I think he's hanging on right now. He's got a healthy gap to losing position. Pretty close to a lap on 6th place. So just to hang on to a top 5 will keep him mathematically alive going into Texas next week. And that's all he can hope for at this point. But that front end of that Ford GT is awfully banged up. Ty Joe's had a couple of run-ins here. Last season in the IndyCar race here at Laguna Seca, he had, if I recall correctly, a pretty heavy hit. But if he can hang on to that thing and bring that thing home in 5th, then that's an excellent run in terms of championship. Cat guy, as I said, running back in 6th. Didn't have all the optimism, but he's going to wind up, if he can hang on here, a pretty decent finish. He's got 9 seconds over Pogo here in the last 7.5 minutes. But Pogo's moving in. Cat Guy had a slow lap last time. Maybe he had some trouble. Definitely, as I said, at this point in the race, you're hanging on to that car. There's dirt all over the track. There's all kinds of stuff that you're dealing with in terms of track conditions at this point, and he may just be running out of car. He's trying to hang on here. To 6th place, but it looks like Pogo, we'll check their lap times later, looks like Pogo might be moving in on him. You got to give Pogo some credit, even up here into 7th. Took a pretty heavy hit earlier on and is having a good recovery drive. As is just Piddlin, who's about 5 seconds behind him in 8th, and I know he's going to try to get some points right here. Pogo came in 5th in the points, so he's definitely going to want to get past Cat Guy, which might give him a shot at moving in. He's came in 5th in the points, 16 behind Cat Guy for 4th place. So I gotta believe that he really wants, that Pogo really wants that position. Just Piddlin here is not just Piddlin, despite what his name says. He is just ran a 121.5 that last time. May have changed tires on his stop. I don't know. If he did, he's got better tires than the rest of the field. A call out to Hard Luck Mark in the Ferrari, riding it home in 9th. He took some pretty heavy damage. Ferrari's a little shorter than it's supposed to be. But just having another solid run or trying to get it back around. These guys near the bottom having tough races. Muttley and Survivor have both been in multiple times with various troubles. But where we're at, we'll keep an eye on the next time by. Looking at Cat Guy's lap times, another slow lap, and I didn't see him spin. There's no real damage on the car. Is he having engine trouble? Maybe that thing is ramped up too much and he's losing horsepower or something. We'll see what this one goes this time by, but with these two racing for position on the track and in the championship, that makes this a very real, a very meaningful 6th place run. 126 and Pogo hits it at 123, so something's going on with that car for Cat Guy. He's a few seconds off pace here as we're inside of 5 minutes. You look at that thing handling, yeah, he's having some kind of problem with the handling. I see a little gap in the hood. Yeah, you see the hood flapping a little bit there. He's got some aerodynamic trouble and may have damaged the front right of the car. Doesn't look very bad cosmetically, but it looks like the car is not handling right, and it looks like that was Muttley spun around trying to get it going. Tough break for Muttley. Cat Guy trying to hang on. He remains just ahead of Pogo, who's all over him now. Both of them. Let's take a look at what the penalties are going to mean. 2 and 4 seconds. Pogo's got 2 more seconds of track penalties, so he's not only got to get by him, he's got to try to put a gap on him if he wants to gain the position. And I think he's got the better car. Cat Guy's just That car is banged up on Cat Guy's as they go side by side. He runs Cat Guy a little bit wide, gives him room to get back on. Cat Guy returns the favor right there. That looked like just Piddling getting involved. Uh-oh, this is the race on the track right now. 6th, 7th, and 8th. Right on top of each other. We'll check back in with the leader, but right now these three are all racing for position, as I said, with Cat Guy and Pogo battling for 4th in the championship. This is very meaningful. Oh, and it looks like Cat Guy went around. Maybe he got a little bit of a tap. I'm not sure. It looks like maybe Pogo waited up for him. Now Pogo goes through. Get on the onboard cam here with Pogo at the back of him. I think he made slight contact there with Cat Guy and then decided to let him go. Just Piddling goes through on the inside. He makes slight contact with Cat Guy, and it looks like maybe Pogo's going to use that to get through, and he does. So just Piddling moves into 6th. Pogo moves into 7th. Cat Guy falls back into 8th as he slides off in the sand. And it looks like Cat Guy just did not have the car. He gave it a great effort to try to hang on to that position, but it just looks like he does not have the car to do it. Meanwhile, just Piddling and Pogo are going to be battling here for 6th place. And as I said, Pogo needs those points. If he wants to move in and try to steal 4th place in the championship from Cat Guy next week at Texas, he needs to get those points. Pair of Corvettes, just Piddling in the 50. Pogo in the black and green car behind them. And they are going to be battling for that spot. But we are inside of 2 minutes now here at Laguna Seca, and it continues to be Bruce Law up front, NZ Jack in 2nd, McToasty in 3rd, O'Brien in 4th, Tyjo struggling with that car but hanging on to 5th. And meanwhile, there's our battle on the track, 6th between just Piddling and Pogo, with Cat Guy giving it a great effort but falling behind. It looks like Muttley and Survivor might battle for 10th. We'll check in on that if we get a moment here towards the end of the race. It looks like maybe just Piddling might have a little more car. Both of these guys, regardless of which one ends up 6th or 7th, they both deserve a heck of a lot of credit. Both of them had to enter the pits early with damage. They got the car fixed. They came out, and instead of being, there were 11 cars in this race, and credit to everyone because it looks like every car is going to finish. But they put themselves from a back-of-the-pack finish to a middle-of-the-pack finish and not far out of top 5. So got to give them some credit for just terrific recovery drives from these two, and they're still racing for it. Just Piddling's a little bit quicker that last time. Pogo's giving it everything he's got. But we're going to check in with the leader now. Where is Bruce Law? Coming onto the front stretch. He's going to take the white flag this time by, so one more lap to go here at Laguna Seca on lap 34 here in round 7 of the Flux Season 5 Sports Car Championship. And it looks like Porsche waited a long time here. 3 seasons in GTE, a couple seasons before that in GT3s. I don't believe the Porsches have a win. They definitely don't have one in GTE configuration. But Bruce Law coming over a couple weeks back with a new deal with Porsche, looking for his 2nd win of the season and his 29th career Flux Sports Car win. If he can hang on here. I don't like calling the numbers before they've been put up on the board, but Bruce looking solid here. He's also going to end up, I believe, with the fastest race lap, 120.2. Yes, in fact, he is. So taking bonus points off the board, but really can't say enough. When a guy has a drive like this, it looks like the Porsche crowd is going to be cheering from the hospitality suites and adding to that impressive resume in Flux Sports Car competition. Bruce Law comes home your winner in the Porsche at Laguna Seca Raceway. Looks like NZ Jack's going to bring it home in second. Came in with the points lead. Knew full well that a finish here like this, he's going to be tough to beat. Comes home in second. Gets it on the podium. And a little ways back, it's been a great race from McToasty. Started back mid-pack, back 7th, I believe. And he has just been clean moving that Corvette through. And is going to pick up his 3rd podium of the season here in the GTEs. As these guys finish it up, I don't see any real close races for position here towards the finish. Looks like Just Piddlin's going to hang on over Pogo. We do have one, though. There's a battle for 10th going on. Until I got there and Survivor got the curse of the commentator and put it around. So Muttley's going to hang on to that top 10 and hard luck trophy. But once again, let's give it up for Bruce Law, his 29th career victory in the Flux Sports Car Championships, his 2nd win of the season here in the GTEs, and he's going to solidify himself there in that 3rd place spot in the championship with that victory. Just the first win for Porsche in the GTE Championship and Flux competition. We know their factory guys are going to be excited, so let's give it to you. The final results for the Season 5 Flux Motorsport Sports Car Championships, Round 7 at Laguna Seca in the GTE class. Your winner, of course, Bruce Law in the Porsche. Fantastic race. Took it from the pole. Also had the best lap bonus, 120.280. That's a fantastic race pace. NZ Jack, the points leader, comes in, runs out with a 2nd place run. A great run for him. It's going to extend his points lead and put him in real good position going into the finale next week at Texas. Finishing in 3rd is Mick Toasty. Gets his vet up there. Great job for him. 3rd podium of the season. O'Brien qualified 5th, finishes 4th in his Caporal Corvette. Ty Joe comes home in 5th. Great recovery drive for him to get that top 5, but he is going to lose a little ground in the championship. 6th place, Just Piddlin in his Corvette. Great recovery drive. Same could be said for Pogo Mojo, who brings it home in 7th. Cat Guy limped that vet home in 8th. Mark C had some trouble with that Ferrari, brings it home in 9th. Muttley will finish 10th in his Ford GT factory car, and Survivor brings home his Ford GT in 11th. So that's about going to wrap it up for us here at Laguna Seca. We encourage you to hang tight. In about 40 minutes time, the LMP2s. I do not believe I'm going to be able to broadcast those, but we hope that the drivers will come out and have themselves an excellent race. So for Flux TV, remember to check us out at fluxmotorsport.com. I've been your host, Carlin Hicks, and we're signing off. Have a good night.